Big 12 today on Big 12 Radio. We are presented by Modelo, heard on TuneIn and watched on Big 12 Studios. It's our countdown to kickoff Baylor football. Joining us now to talk Baylor is David Smoak from 365 Sports, who's long covered Baylor and now does a great job with 365 Sports covering all college football and specifically the Big 12. Smokey, how are you, buddy?
Ari, we're doing well. Will and I are, before the segment, solving college athletics' problems. And
way to go.
To me, the answer, hire the attorneys who are representing players who are like oh, gosh.
Yeah, that's the right. I think you're onto something there.
They are doing well.
I don't think they have enough money to do it.
Yeah. Their on-base percentage, if it was in lawsuit,
oh, yeah.
The NCAA's won a few, but they can't rest too long before, oops, that is a loophole. Yep.
Yeah, I would say like the NCAA's like a 115 hitter, and the players' attorneys are like a 390 hitter.
Yep, absolutely, man. Yeah. You're 100% right. Yep.
All right, let's talk Baylor football, the countdown to kickoff. What are the cat battles that you're most intrigued by?
Well, they have to have an issue now. They lost the lineman to eligibility, Yakuri Walker. So they've got to find out who's going to replace that. They felt pretty good about their offensive line with Sirakis on both sides of the ball. Wide receivers seem to be okay. They're not going to have like a starting running back. They will, like Pendergrass, but they've got like 3 or 4, like a hybrid position. One's a banger, one's a slicer, one's kind of a, Pendergrass is healthy, which is a big deal. They missed him last year. I got to answer your question with one position. I would say they got to figure out the wide receiver position has people. They have Lewis Brown, who's a big, tall drink of water. Miller, who came in from Colorado, who's from Texas, that DJ knew. Freeman was at Florida, DJ knew. But they got to find out, do they have an alpha? Do they have somebody on – remember Tyquan Thornton, the 2021 team? They had other receivers that were good, but Tyquan Thornton, they were going to find him on 3rd and 8 or on 2nd and 12 to make it more manageable. I know that there's going to be a lot of Baylor fans are going to wait a minute. What about the defense? I think there's so many moving parts with the defense, and they don't know about Jose Wheeler if he's going to be eligible, which would be huge. I think that there's just so much going on that side with Clanderman. He's trying to figure out not the names of the players, but what to do with them. They've got to find an alpha receiver. Brown can make some catches. He could. He kind of was under the radar last year. So I would say that is the one. Running back is going to be by committee. I've talked to Keenan Hall, the running backs coach, hell of a recruiter too, about that. But getting Dawson Pendergrass back, they really would have liked to have had him with Bryson Washington for another year last year, but that didn't work out either way. So I'm going to say actually, and I think most people would disagree with me, but who is going to be your alpha at wide receiver?
It's a good one.
Really is. And Smokey, thanks so much for joining us. Good to see you. Good to meet you as well. Talking about Baylor on our countdown to kickoff. And we spent a lot of our last segment talking about DJ Lagway. And what are you hearing? What are you seeing? What's real to you? What's this August hype to you? Give us your impressions of the quarterback.
Well, it's been interesting. I had a chance to sit down with him back in February before they started their spring football. Really liked the young man and knew that anyway. And he told me back then, and if I've said this before, but he said it was as healthy as he had been since his freshman year at Florida. And that was not to say last year we didn't produce or Florida didn't produce because I was beat up or whatever. They just weren't very good, although they had to win against Texas. Him just being around, the Lagway story with him being around, and the positivity. I saw a quote from Jake Spavital, because I don't get to go to many practices with our podcast, where he said he is our hope. He gives us hope. So if DJ can be anything of what everyone saw of him when he was playing high school football, then that gives them hope. And I don't know. I've seen a few throws that have wobbled. But, I remember there's you know, I don't. God, there's going to be most people on this podcast listening to you guys they're not going to. Billy Kilmer, that's like 50 years ago. Ari, neither one of you guys were even like a dream inside of your parents' heads. But 50 years ago, Billy Kilmer won. He was a backup to Sonny Jurgensen, and at times he took the team over. His ball looked like it was like God knows what he threw it with, but he won. I've seen a few passes from DJ wobble, and that was one of the current concerns because of his shoulder. Everything seems to be fine there. There is no doubt like an aura, not from him, an aura around him like he is the guy. There's no doubt. Just Sawyer Robertson was the guy too. But I do think that he gives them, the coaching staff, the fan base, and the team, like, I'm not saying he's the savior because that's not the case. We don't know that. We may not know that. We may never see that. But I do think that just him around. When I've seen videos, and again, I haven't been able to go to practices because of the podcast. When I have seen videos, he's accurate. That's one. Well, Sawyer Robertson was accurate. He had a gun too. He could also take off. But remember, Sawyer stopped running last year. Never really understood why, and he never really gave us a reason for that. DJ can bide some time, and with his size, he's not going to probably break anything long, but he can get you that first down on 3rd and 6 if he gets pressure. He's not like a cat quick guy. He's just a pretty darn good athlete. So I hope that answered your question. They have so many new receivers. I mentioned Brown. I mentioned Miller. I've mentioned quite a few guys that are a part of that receiving core. There's one name, Jaden Porter, a local kid, went to Lorena High School just south of Waco. Man, he's got to produce. He has to produce. Period. Plain and simple. Incoming freshman named London Smith, an incredible athlete from University High. They need those young players, a couple of those young players to come in, and a couple of the portal additions as well. I mentioned Brown. I know I'm going back to the wide receiver. He's comfortable with who he has at wide receiver, but is he comfortable when Auburn all of a sudden is bringing 6 or 7 and it's a critical 3rd down up in Atlanta, Georgia?
All right, Smokey, is this a legitimate sleeper team in the Big 12? Are you buying some of the hype around them?
Oh, no. When you say hype, Ari and Will, we have seen almost annually in the last 4 to 5 years. You know, last year Texas was in the Big 12. They were obviously really good, but even then, there were a couple of games that they almost got away from them. But 21 Baylor was a sleeper. 22 TCU was a sleeper. Then you can go back a couple of other. There have been, like Oklahoma, you could just throw in 15 or whatever titles they had. Texas was always ranked high, but for a decade, they were just over-modulated because of the damn name on their jersey or the helmet. And they had one team that I think played OU for a Big 12 title that had beaten OU earlier in the year, but they weren't a sleeper. They just didn't match the hype, which is one of the reasons why Sark is there. I don't know. I don't think they're a sleeper. I have to see that. I've seen them do that. But no, I don't consider them like a team that could jump up and go like 9-3, and then mid to late November they're playing games to get into the Big 12 championship game. I just think that Tech and BYU and 2 or 3 others are just so good and have so much coming back, even with some of their own, like, for example, blemishes as far as concerns and questions. But I don't see Baylor, I don't see them as a sleeper. Well, here's why. Klanderman was coaching at K-State. Their defense was in the top 15 in forcing turnovers and turnover margin. Baylor was in dead last, top -5 in turnover margin in 2025. They couldn't even accidentally have somebody fumble or throw a bad pass. So can he make that much of a difference? If that was if that flips the script, yeah, then all of a sudden they are. But I gotta see it. I'm not gonna put them in that sleeper category, not until I see it. They go to Atlanta and beat Auburn again. If they do, it's Auburn's still in a. I gotta see that. I gotta see it when they go on the road. But they have a chance, guys, early on. I don't know what's going to happen in Atlanta. I love Alex Golish and what he's doing, but they have a chance to get off to a maybe 4-0 start. If they were to win the game in Atlanta, I don't expect them to. And then after that, then the meat of the schedule, Arizona State on the road, and then TCU, who they just never beat. They just don't know how to beat TCU.
Really good stuff there. It is interesting. You bring up Sark and you look at some of these coaches in college football. I want to focus on the head ball coach in Waco. How much pressure is actually on Dave Aranda here this year?
Well, I think it's been on him so long that I don't even know if it's pressure. He knows. He knows. He has to win. I asked Doug McNamee, the AD who came in back in December, had him on a couple of different times, but I asked him last time he was in our studio like 2 or 3 weeks ago, so how will you know? Like is there a record? Like fans want to go, well, he's got to win 7 or 8 games, and then I say he just has to get to a bowl game, and they don't like that minimum requirement, but I think that means you also have to win a couple of games against good people.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying you're going to beat Tech. I don't know if you're going to beat TCU. I don't know about winning in Tempe because we don't know what Dillingham has, as they kind of went through a little bit of transition last year with the Levitt injury and more. But I think you have to go. You have to be a bowl team, 6-7. How many wins? But you have to have a couple of wins where like, okay, and not just wins if you're even favored to win 6 games because of some of the changes in the conference. Dave Aranda's been on the hot seat since the 22 team blew up and just cratered at the end of the year before losing that bowl game in Fort Worth to Air Force. He's been on the hot seat. They did have the 8-4 2 years later, but there's more the 3-9s, etc. in between the 12-2, up and down and up and down and up and down. So hot seat last year. If Mack Rhodes isn't in the situation he's in, if Mack Rhodes is still the AD, I think I've said this before on record, Dave Aranda would not be back for this year. So maybe he just has a cat with 9 lives, and maybe this year they are improved and they are enough to get to a bowl game. But I think his seat has been so hot you don't even feel it anymore.
And you think bowl game is really the minimum?
Like, you mean they should win 8 or 9 instead of, like, just get into a bowl game?
I'm not saying what they should do. I'm simply saying, like, you think if he gets to 6 and gets to a bowl game, he'll be back.
I think if he gets to 6 or 7, I know, again, there's a lot of things people disagree with me, but I don't have any kind of, like, rose-colored glasses for them. Like when you said, are they going to be a sleeper? I mean, if they were to, like I said, in mid-November, they're in that race. I mean, that's incredible. I think they have to win a couple of games that are at least, that's nice, and get to 6 or 7 wins. That probably isn't enough for the fan base, and I'm sure that may not be enough for Doug McNamee, because here's what also is on top, Will and Ari, about what Dave Aranda and Baylor football and athletics, what they face. It's not just they're on the edge of becoming irrelevant. They're on the edge of, what about them? They're on the edge of fan base, which is trying to do everything they can to try to believe, and maybe not even believe, but just like DJ Lagway's the hope. I think that Dave is a wonderful man, but that doesn't mean you get to keep coaching when your team's not winning. I think everybody would love to see him continue to win, but I bet there's some in the fan base that are like, I don't care, we need a change. Because if you're like Dave Aranda, you're not fiery enough. If you're crazy and fiery, then you need to calm down like a Bo Pelini. But and God, I miss his fiery as a Nebraska fan.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, but okay, I don't. That's why I asked Doug, what is it going to look like? And he goes, I'll know. I go, okay, but can you define? I know. I'll know. I think that's a combination of not only being competitive and winning some more often than you lose, but how the fans and the stadium and the attendance and the atmosphere reacts to who this team is in their identity. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes, it does.
Because, man, they're struggling. And let's be honest, it sets up everything else. Scott Drew, even though they've had a couple of years where it hasn't been that good, I mean, for their standard, there's a belief and there's a locked in, and they're all in with him, not just because they won the national title, but because of what they've done for 20 years. But in with this football program, they're just like there are times when some will discuss the Big 12 and it's not even as Baylor a sleeper. They're not even brought up in the conversation. That doesn't mean the experts, the analysts, the columnists, the talk show hosts are right by doing that, but that's kind of where they are right now.
But you're an expert, you're an analyst, so tell us, for you, outside of Baylor, you've mentioned a lot of the teams in the league, who's a sleeper in this conference in your eyes, outside of Baylor?
It's a great question because these aren't sleepers. Texas Tech, obvious. Duh. They're not a sleeper. BYU's not a sleeper. Houston is not a sleeper. Now, there might be some that go, well, wait a minute. They won 10 games. Willie Fritz is a builder. He builds with mortar, the hardcore brick and mortar. He doesn't do anything fluky and just have a year and then next year they fall back. I don't think that's a sleeper, but it's interesting that they're already in the middle of playing where they are. I'd like to know if they're TCU. I don't know if they're a sleeper because of what they just did. What was it? I know it's been a while now, 3 years or so. I have this feeling listening to Sonny Dykes at Big 12 Media Days, and I saw a comment he made even over the weekend. He's got a little edge to him.
Yeah.
He can be funny. I don't know about jovial, but he can be funny, and then he can sit there and like maybe even cut you and you don't even know it with something he is saying. I think he knows he's got a pretty good team. Now, they've got the Harvard quarterback in Hayden Craig, but I think he likes what he sees. I'll tell you, like last year, you know who would have been a sleeper? Arizona.
Yeah.
Like Arizona, Fafita, though, they got the quarterback, and he just makes things go. 2 years ago, Arizona State would have been the sleeper, right? Because of, well, Dillingham had high expectations, but heck, they're a fourth down conversion, batted down, sack, whatever, from beating Texas in the quarterfinals. That would be the kind of sleeper. And to me, I see a lot of notes about Utah with Scally, and there's the transition. They still lost big-time people. Not only players, but also coaches. I think they're going to be good. I don't know how good. I love their quarterback in Dampier. To me, that's a sleeper with I think TCU won 9 games last year. So it's hard for me to say that, but I don't think a lot of people are bringing them into the conversation as somebody that can win the Big 12 title.
David Smoak, 365 Sports. Go check out 365 Sports on YouTube. Smokey, you're the best, buddy. Appreciate you as always.
You guys, thank you so much. Hope you have a great day and a great week. We'll see you soon.
You too, bud. Thank you. There he goes, David Smoak, helping us break down his thoughts on Baylor in our countdown to kickoff preview, talking Baylor. West Virginia will be tomorrow. It's Big 12 today on Big 12 Radio. Do we have a new development on the expanded playoff? We'll get into that. Plus, Big 12 soccer is on the way, and Big 12 in NASCAR. It's Big 12 today, presented by Modelo, heard on TuneIn and watched on Big 12 Studios.